What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the real reason why WWE is going for Omos vs Lashley and Wyatt vs Lesnar. Is WWE done with Matt Riddle? Why Sami Zayn vs Roman 2 is happening at a live event? CM Punk claps back at a fan, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Now, as always, we won't recap the show, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as Brock's moonshine moment. Brock Lesnar appeared on the MVP Lounge last night, but he did it his way, showing up before MVP and making himself comfortable on the set. MVP eventually arrived with great reluctance, entering the ring where Lesnar told MVP almost could have his match if MVP talked Brock into it. MVP delivered as Lesnar asked, telling Brock he couldn't beat Bobby Lashley. How can Lashley beat Omos when the Nigerian Nightmare has MVP in his corner? The Beast Incarnate celebrated with MVP, offering some of his homemade white lightning. But it was a bit too strong for MVP's taste, and he accidentally spit it into Lesnar's face. Lesnar seemed to take it in his stride before F5ing MVP, a reminder that you might as well feel comfortable around a smiling crocodile as you should a smiling Brock. Number 2, Gable can go. Yeah, he can. Now, we are overstating the obvious, but we had to mention that the leader of Alpha Academy had a fantastic match with Cody Rhodes, and Cody looked amazing as well. This entertaining match seemed to come out of nowhere, but that is until the announcers pointed out how Cody Rhodes is undefeated going into headlining WrestleMania. What better reason could he have than wanting to score a win against Cody? That was all the fans needed, as both men put a fantastic match on, including a hilarious spot where Cody stepped outside the ring to help Otis look for Maxine Dupree. Number 3, props for a promo. A major props to the Judgment Day for a fantastic promo that saw them covering all their bases. Rhea Ripley talked up a WrestleMania match against Charlotte, as well as her SmackDown match this week against Liv Morgan. Dominic Mysterio didn't miss a beat as he insulted his dad and promised he'd join his mommy on Friday's latest edition of the Blue Brand. Then there was Finn Balor, who reminded Edge that things aren't over between them and that he's challenging him to a match at WrestleMania. This promo harkened back to the classic promos from factions like the Four Horsemen when they appeared as a group then talked up their various programs individually. Number 4, the Judgment Day are everywhere. The Judgment Day seemed to be everywhere last night, cutting a solid promo before confronting Johnny Gargano backstage and setting up a match between Johnny Wrestling and Finn Balor. The Judgment Day are Raw's hottest faction, and the WWE used them effectively last night without overexposing them. Number 5, a night of callouts. A Raw featured a whole host of wrestlers calling out opponents. Cody told Roman Reigns he's happy the Tribal Chief will be on SmackDown this week because so will he. Later, Seth Rollins took out The Miz and literally called Logan Paul, dialing him on The Miz's phone and inviting him to meet face to face on Raw. With WrestleMania getting closer every week, it's good to see the WWE moving matches into motion. Number 6, Otis is still the man. Move over Nature Boy Ric Flair because Otis is still the man. Regardless of his loss to Johnny Gargano, the Alpha Academy's muscle proved he's still as charismatic as ever, and thanks to his program with the maximum male models, he's becoming lovable again. We're hesitant about Otis leaving the Alpha Academy. After all, Chad Gable helped Otis get his momentum back following the bad booking that saw him lose his Money in the Bank briefcase, and nevertheless it might be time for him to go on his own if the WWE can come up with a strong storyline to utilize his talents. And Trish Stratus saves the day. Trish Stratus saved the day, helping to even the odds during Becky Lynch and Lita's title match against Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Damage Control looked to have all the right cards thanks to Bayley's interference, but Trish's timely arrival gave Lynch and Lita the level playing field they needed. The challengers became champions, giving the fans a feel-good moment and raising questions about what's next for Trish and the new tag team champions. But that was a good. What about the baddest? Number 1, send in the cannon fodder. Last night's Raw featured too many matches whose entire purpose was to forward WrestleMania matches at the expense of talented wrestlers. The biggest example was the opening match between the Street Profits and the Bloodline. Not only did Ford and Dawkins lose to Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, they also suffered a post-match beatdown until Kevin Owens showed up to save the day. The Street Profits look like scrubs, another reminder of how the Bloodline doesn't make stars, they bury them. Number 2, Bobby Lashley's nosedive begins. Bobby Lashley issued a menacing message to Bray Wyatt: I don't play any kid games, keep my name out of your lips or face the wrath of the Almighty. It was a good promo, but Bray Wyatt wasn't listening as he played his song Do the Muscle Man Dance. This program is already off to a bad start. Wyatt's video on SmackDown was downright ugly, and last night's video with Wyatt was only better because it was shorter. Nonetheless, it was cringy, and it's scary that Wyatt is the best opponent the WWE has for Lashley. Now, there was nothing downright ugly, but like last Friday's SmackDown, last night's Raw was uneventful. There were too many squash matches, and the WWE spent too much time promoting SmackDown and next week's Raw. We're thrilled to see the WWE hyping future shows, but don't forget about the present. What do you guys think about Raw this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now first we look at the real reason for Omos vs Lesnar and Wyatt vs Lashley. Topping today's news is the question puzzling fans. Why is WWE going with Omos vs Lesnar and Wyatt vs Lashley at WrestleMania? Fans were confident that they get a rematch between Lashley and Lesnar following the controversial finish to the match at Elimination Chamber. Indeed, when MVP challenged Lesnar to fight Omos at WrestleMania, many suspected that this was a swerve to set up Lesnar vs Lashley, the idea being that Lashley would rejoin the Hurt Business and set out to destroy Brock Lesnar. However, that no longer seems to be the case, as the WWE pushed Omos vs Lesnar and Wyatt vs Lashley on the 27th February Raw. While both matches have a certain appeal, neither seems like a strong candidate for WrestleMania. Rumor has it that WWE planned for Lesnar to take on Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, but those plans fell through. But as discussed in our previous news video, Omos was not the first choice to serve as a backup for Austin. A report from Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio suggests that WWE made some last-minute changes to WrestleMania's card, resulting in the current matches for Brock and Bobby. I can't say that it was due to Vince, but I can say that was a change. Most of this WrestleMania card was planned out. They actually planned out most of this card further in advance than usual, which is Paul Levesque's credit probably. Meltzer noted that WWE had many matches planned by the fall and December. Nonetheless, the Lesnar match was changed. There were rumors that the Beast would wrestle Gunther at Mania, but those were dismissed by the start of 2023. So what happened? Is the WWE saving the Brock vs Bobby rematch for a show in Saudi Arabia or SummerSlam? Is it saving Brock vs Gunther for SummerSlam? The WWE recognizes the value in a Lesnar vs Gunther match, and you've likely heard how the WWE plans to push the general even more. Nonetheless, Omos vs Brock and Wyatt vs Lashley don't seem like WrestleMania quality matches. These two matches are kinda blunders by Triple H, and he'll need to pull a rabbit out of his hat to fix them. Next up, another WrestleMania 39 change. Speaking of changes to WrestleMania, it appears that WWE decided to go with an audible on its plans for the Women's Tag Team Championship by having Damage Control drop the belts to Lita and Becky Lynch. Meltzer discussed this on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying this was not the WrestleMania match. This was a change in the last week or two. Either Triple H changed his mind or someone changed his mind, one way or the other. Fans know who that certain someone is, and judging by these sudden changes to WrestleMania, there's cause for concern that Mr. McMahon is getting a bit too involved. Next up is WWE Done with Matt Riddle. Is the WWE finished with Matt Riddle? Riddle has been seen on WWE TV since Solo Sikoa destroyed him on Raw, sending the Ultimate Bro packing with an injury angle. Riddle was written out of due to a reported wellness policy violation, but his suspension should be over by now, leading to questions why he hasn't returned. Dave Meltzer addressed this on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying he's been out of rehab for a long time. His suspension has been over for almost a month now, 4 weeks. It may be that they've just decided not to use him for Mania, not do anything with him, or maybe they just don't want to invest in him. I presume he'll be back, but when he left they made a point of saying he was going to be gone for 6 weeks. We're about 11 or 12 weeks. While the WWE may be reluctant to release Riddle, they don't seem eager to return him to television. Next up, why is Sami vs Roman 2 happening at a live event? If you're curious why the WWE is holding the Sami Zayn vs Roman Reigns match at a live event in Toronto rather than a PLE, well, according to Meltzer, the Toronto show was underperforming in ticket sales, so while sales picked up when Roman was announced for the show, they opted to change the scheduled Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa vs Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match to a singles match, confident that the Elimination Chamber rematch would sell even better than the tag match. Next up, AEW Fight Forever release date. It's good news for gamers looking forward to AEW Fight Forever's cage-side seats reports Best Buy has the game listed with a release date of 31st March 2023. However, the release date on Amazon is still 31st December 2023. Next up, mystery hands revealed in Firefly Funhouse video. Are wondering whose hands were playing the Undertaker action figures on the recent Firefly Funhouse video? If you're like us, you probably didn't, but Wrestling News' Andrew Ravens did. Apparently Ravens was so transfixed or bored by the video that he figured out that the two hands playing with the action figures appear to be Alexa Bliss's hands. If this is Bliss, it's interesting timing for the company to do the segment, as WWE has been teasing over the last several weeks that Bliss will align herself with Uncle Howdy and Wyatt. Next up, CM Punk claps back. As CM Punk's wrestling future remains unknown, but that hasn't stopped fans or wrestlers from commenting on it, in this case leading to a response from Punk himself. After former superstar Mark Henry commented on how he'd bring Punk back to AEW, a fan posted on social media, "Keep CM Punk retired." He fired back saying, "You liked your own comment. Bold. I'll wrestle again just to upset you. You'll watch no matter where." And finally, Stevie Richards' serious health issues. And last but not least, Stevie Richards has been hospitalized for 5 weeks as he deals with back and spine problems. Recently, he took to YouTube to thank his fans for their support, saying, "I want to thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers. It means the world to both of us, my wife and myself. We'll have updates soon. No answers yet. But we'll continue following this story and continue to send our thoughts and prayers to Stevie Richards for a full recovery." But there you have it, folks. I'll look at Raw as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.